that if we're living to defeat the unbeatable instead of just withstanding the unbeatable, our lives are just beginning as we pass away, as we will then be with our Heavenly Father and starting our new lives. Welcome back to Defeating Weekly. I'm your host, Craig Olson. Thank you for checking out this week's episode. We are continuing with part 12 of the 15-week series based on my book, Defeating the Unbeatable. This week's topic, I feel, is super important for us, depending on where we are in our lives. It's always a good thing to think about, and it's the idea of retirement, but not necessarily in the terms that we normally think of retirement. We're going to look at both sides of that. But the bigger thing is, how will you be remembered? So retirement is the ultimate goal for each of us as we look forward to work. And eventually, some of us early on in our careers, we're very young and energetic, and we may be that teacher that drives all the older teachers crazy with our energy and the new school ideas and how we continue to try to get better and better and better. However, we may also be a new construction worker that's trying to work his way up the ladder and goes above and beyond and is constantly looking for something else to do to keep going and going and going. On the flip side, as we grow older in our careers, we begin to get burnt out and can cause us to begin looking forward to the end of our careers. In my personal life, I've seen and had teachers that were near the end of their careers, and there are two types of them that I specifically have seen. First of all, there's those that are grinding it out to get through and just get past the last couple years. But there's also the others who are still trying to make an impact. Those grinding it out don't typically try to hide it. They usually become more lazy and grumpy and irritated, which even if they are trying to hide it from their students, most of the time the students know and see what is happening. On the flip side, the teacher who is still trying to make an impact continues learning and evolving their craft. They continue to learn not only educational practices, but more importantly, they continue to learn about their students and want to know and become invested in those students' lives. The second teacher will retire in a much different way than the former teacher. They are retiring knowing that they've made an impact to better the lives of their students, and they'll be able to retire in a way that they feel blessed. In my book, Defeating the Unbeatable, I discuss retirement in the sense of when we pass away, and the idea of that if we're living to defeat the unbeatable instead of just withstanding the unbeatable, our lives are just beginning as we pass away, as we will then be with our Heavenly Father and starting our new lives. Having defeated the unbeatable, we get to look forward to what it says in Revelation 21:4, which states, "He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the older order of things has passed away." So if we think about this, defeating the unbeatable, we've defeated death. We live with our Heavenly Father. We're living, thriving. There's no more need for crying, tears. We are excited and living fully. If you've chosen to defeat the unbeatable instead of just trying to withstand it, your life does not end when the inevitable ends. We're all going to pass away. But it's your choice as to where you want to be based on how you live your life. So some action steps this week. Think about where you are in your career. Are you near where you wanted to be at this point, or are there some adjustments that need to be made to get to where your goal was when we're thinking about careers and then looking towards retirement? Then ask yourself, how will I be remembered? Think about this from a career standpoint as well as a life standpoint. Think about how your family and then your friends, and finally your acquaintances will remember you. Finally, if there are areas you realize you need to make changes to them, do it. It all comes down to you and the choices that you're making. One of my favorite scriptures comes from Joshua 1:9, which says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." So if you're living to defeat the unbeatable, you are using God, you are following God as your focal point. When you do that, when it comes to retirement, you are going to know you have lived an impactful life. You are ready to move on to your new life. You are ready for life to finally begin. And if you're at that point within work and you're struggling, still give it to God. That's the key. The quote for this week: often when you think you're at the end of something, you're at the beginning of something else. And that came from Fred Rogers. So the idea that retirement does not have to be the end. It's the beginning of something else. I hope you guys have a great day and defeat the week.